Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, where we review stories that beautiful people like yourselves post on the internet. And we got a great story for you today. Let's jump right into it. I, 32 female, can't decide if I should drop out of a wedding I'm in this weekend due to the awful treatment from the bride, her mother, and maid of honor. Okay Reddit, please bear with me, this is extremely long. I was asked to be in the wedding of a friend of mine. We're close and hang out regularly. But she and I do not have a history of talking about deep or serious things. I see her as more of a party type friend. When things have happened in my life, breakup, death of a parent, health issues, she wasn't really there for me. I was surprised I was considered close enough to be in her wedding, but flattered and excited to be asked nevertheless. The bride booked a wedding venue that cost $25,000 just to rent the estate. This does not include food, beverages, tables and chairs and so forth. Her original budget was $30,000 all in. She figured she would subsidize these exorbitant rental costs by charging the out-of-town guests that are coming in for the wedding to stay at the estate, which would sleep 25 people. She asked me if I was okay with paying $200 per night for the room, which I said yes, as this is the going rate for hotels in the area, and it would be nice to stay on the premises. I knew I was sharing my room with the maid of honor, but I was under the impression that $200 was for the both of us. Soon after accepting, my new boyfriend was also invited to attend with me. At this point, I asked if we can have our own room instead, if there was still one available. She then tells me yes, and the cost would be $400 a night. I told her I was confused, as it was $200 a night before, and that was the rate for me not to only share a room, but to share a bed with this maid of honor. At this point, I tell her that I simply cannot afford to pay that much. It would have been $1,200 for 3 nights. She continues to push about how she wants the entire wedding party to stay at the venue. Mind you, it's a destination wedding, and this was 8 months before the wedding. So she would have been able to easily fill my spot if needed, and there are plenty of rental options nearby, even walking distance from the estate. She doesn't care. I end up writing her an incredibly uncomfortable email, telling her all the trips we have planned, all based around visiting family, the holidays, and one wedding that my boyfriend is in 2 weeks before the wedding, and how I simply cannot afford it, and I wish I could. She doesn't respond, and we agree to meet in person to discuss it. When we go out, before our meeting to talk about this, my boyfriend texted me with a surprise that he bought us tickets to a concert I had wanted to go, but I had thought that the tickets were too expensive. I was excited and shared the news with the group about how sweet he was. That night, I get a few extremely angry texts suggesting that we have the money to go to some stupid random concert, but we are giving her grief about paying $400 a night. She goes on to say that my boyfriend should just pay for half to help with the costs. She says she's offended and goes on to say, if anything, I shouldn't go to the wedding 2 weeks before to save the money, which my boyfriend is a groomsman in. And it's the first time I get to visit his hometown, which is a big deal to us. I'm aghast and honestly feel like she's being a selfish bridezilla and a soft rocker. Every time we have talked about this, she has given me 2 options. 1. Pay. 2. Be the worst friend possible. I decided to go to the wedding without my boyfriend and share the room with the maid of honor, as previously committed, without fully understanding my commitment. Fast forward a few months and I have helped with looking for dresses, have spent countless hours working on crafts for the wedding, bought her a $75 gift, which she requested that I get before the wedding so that she can use it at the wedding, and have overall, in my mind, been a model bridesmaid. I've also been trying to coordinate with the maid of honor about the shower and bachelorette. Now, I do not like the maid of honor at all. She's a legitimately crazy person who is known for exaggerating, except it's to the point of being an outright liar. She's very well off and is always offering to pay for people's things, like trips to Hawaii for a group of people and flights to Asia, and this makes me uncomfortable. She is also 10 years older than everyone in our friend group, is constantly inappropriately hitting on guys in our group, and is constantly stirring up drama and telling lies. She gossips, talks crap about her quote-unquote friends all the time, and is always making trouble. I've had experiences with her in the past, and I do not care to be her friend or associate with her at all. I've been burned before, but have never fought, and nobody knows how I feel except my close friends. But I was really not looking forward to having to work with her for the wedding festivities. For months I've been inquiring about the shower and bachelorette. I offered to throw a shower at my house. I offered to cook for it. I also offer other local suggestions. She consistently reads my messages on Facebook and doesn't respond, or will answer part of my message, but not the most important question. This wedding is on Halloween, and she decides 2 weeks ago to do the bachelorette this past weekend, on Saturday. All she tells me is that she's going to pay for 10 girls to fly to Las Vegas and stay in the hotel for one night. She says it's her gift to the bride and groom, and that she's been planning on that for ages. She also says we will leave at 8 a.m. on Saturday and return at 8 a.m. from Vegas on Sunday, only to go straight to the bridal shower. An exhausting weekend to say the least. When she sends out the invite for the bachelorette, which is supposed to be quote-unquote free, except for food, taxis, shows, and so forth, she says, quote, "Donations are appreciated and accepted," end quote. This threw me and the other women attending because we were under the impression it was free. I asked via 4 different Facebook messages what kind of donation she's looking for, and expressed that many of us are tight on cash right now, and I think it would make everyone more comfortable to know what is expected of them in advance. 200, 400, 50? All read, no responses. I also point out that 4 people going to the bachelorette will be at a dinner party on Friday, celebrating another friend's engagement. At this point, I have no idea she booked the flights, as she never said anything except that she'd want to book them for 8 a.m. and that they were on hold. She doesn't communicate with anybody, and I'm constantly being asked for clarification and details because I'm in the wedding party and nobody else we know is. Finally, she messages me back a very long and angry message about how she's offended we are more concerned with partying on Friday, and if anybody has any issue with that, then they don't have to go or can't pay the change fee to go later. It's extremely rude, especially because I've been nothing but polite and nice about everything. I respond very sweetly and say that I had no idea she had already booked them, that she had been so generous and we were all happy to leave at 8 a.m., that there is no problem at all and she can just ignore that suggestion to come in around lunchtime instead. After she had read all the messages, she texted me 30 minutes later to say that she moved my flight and 2 girls' flight to come in at 3:40 p.m., but everyone else would arrive in the morning. I was aghast. Why would she do that when I told her I had no idea they were booked and to just forget about it? I know she was using this as an opportunity to poison me to the bride and say how ungrateful I am and how I was more concerned with quote-unquote partying the night before. I asked her why she did that, expressed that she didn't need to, no response. The next day, she messages that she changed everyone's flights to later and it's fine. Okay. The bachelorette weekend was by far the worst weekend of my life. I have spent weekends in hospitals that were more bearable. As soon as we all hugged and said our hellos at the airport, she starts with a sentence with, "So, Mrs. Foodiepants, since you moved the flights for everyone." I was so taken aback I couldn't even say anything. She said it loudly and in front of the bride, so I would be blamed for this. I don't say anything, as we just started the trip and I honestly was just hoping it was an isolated comment and I didn't want to start a fight with her in front of everyone. She's crazy and I would rather wipe my butt with her and her drama. I attempt to clear things up with the bride on the way to the plane, explaining how when I was asked I had no idea they were booked and told her not to change them, but she did anyway, and she responds dismissively and says, yeah, I don't know anything about the flights. When we get to our suite, it's literally probably $10K to rent for the evening, if not much more. 2 bedrooms, a DJ booth, massage room, multiple lounges, a TV room with bar and pool table and so forth. The bride gets angry and says, we should have come at 8 a.m. I try to explain the mix-up again in front of everyone, and nobody said anything. It was as if I was speaking to myself. From this point on, anything I said, did, suggested, and so forth was taken in the worst possible light. I was ignored, dismissed, and blamed for everything. I suggested we go out to eat before a show, only to be snapped at and told that they were ordering room service. We ended up going to eat because everyone was hungry, and that was the most practical thing to do. I spent $20 in crabs and lost it in one roll, but then was basically called out by the bride for being cheap by not wanting to play more and just watch, when only her and the maid of honor were playing. This wasn't a group activity, and we had just said we would leave to play something else. I got us all on the VIP's list for Omnia that everyone said they wanted to go, which is also one of the harder places to get to, only for everyone to arrive late, upset, and not order drinks the entire time. In fact, I was talking to my friend who got us in, only to be told we were leaving without any warning. I quickly trailed behind my group by about 30 seconds, only to overhear them talk badly about me and how I was going to stay back and leave the party, which is something I have never done and would never do. Everywhere we walked, the three cronies, bride, her mom, and maid of honor, were talking badly about me. I would hear them say my name, look back at me, and whisper. I was called out for being on my phone in the taxi coordinating the Omnia VIP list because I'm distracted and not being with the party. I did not take my phone out once, except for pics of the group and coordinating this guest list, which only took the cab ride. When we got ready for the evening, the maid of honor told us to get ready in one of the spare rooms. We brought our stuff in there to get ready, with no assumption that we would sleep in a bed because there wasn't enough beds for people. Everyone else would sleep on a couch. To be told later when I changed in my pajamas by the mother that I was not meant to sleep in there. I explained I had just left my stuff there to get ready and I knew I wasn't sleeping there. She went on and on about it, as if I was trying to inappropriately take the room for the goddess that is the maid of honor. By 2:45 a.m., everyone except the three cronies are starting to fade. Mind you, we all have flights back at either 8:30 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. and we have to go straight to the bridal shower after we go home for 15 minutes to change. I have multiple sclerosis and have trouble walking and also have fatigue issues. I need to sleep. If I don't sleep, I get sick and honestly can barely walk, even with a brace. This is crucial and everyone at this party knows that. I am pushing myself to the absolute max by walking all day and night in Vegas, drinking, which I normally don't handle well, and staying up late. The party has no sign of stopping and beds and couches aren't being assigned. When I ask about sleeping arrangements, I'm ignored. In fact, the only thing I do hear is the bride being a complete brat and talking badly, very loudly about anybody who wants to go to bed is lame and ruining the party because it's her bachelorette party, we're in Vegas, and on and on. Also, since I am sleeping on a couch, as pretty much the mother yelled at me and told me to do, I can't sleep anywhere quiet. All of the lounges with couches are in open areas, except for the room where all the people are partying in. I can't sleep in a cold room, without a pillow, on a couch without any sheets or blankets, with music blasting, people playing pool and being drunk and loud. I decide to go attempt to sleep on the massage table with a sheet, only to fear I would roll over and kill myself in the middle of the night. I finally got up and it's now 3:30 a.m. and everyone is still up and partying. They have to be awake for their flight at 6 a.m. I'm assuming since nothing has slowed down, they aren't sleeping before their flight. I go back and ask if they're planning on staying up all night, and if so, if I could please have a bed. I was told by the maid of honor that they weren't going to bed, and she said yes, that I could have one. I slept for 3 hours until we had to get up for our flight. Fast forward to the shower where the mother finds out that I slept in a bed, which the mother-in-law came into eventually for a nap I assume, and was chastised once again. I have never felt so mistreated or disgusted. This maid of honor has completely poisoned the bride and mother against me. My quote-unquote friend, the bride, doesn't even care enough to ask my side or has any interest when I say something other than what she's been told about me. This maid of honor is the savior, as she has taken us all here and I'm an ungrateful B-word who is making everything difficult and being selfish. I have no interest in being her friend anymore, and honestly considered flying home Saturday night and thought of dropping out of the wedding completely. They obviously hate me. Why do they want me to be their whipping boy? What's going on? So Reddit, the wedding is this Saturday, and I am meant to go on Friday to help set up for the wedding. I will probably be asked to move tables since I'm so mobile. Sarcasm. Besides, the bride, maid of honor, and mom. Everyone else attending are my close friends. Many I never get to see because they live in other countries. I want to go because I don't want to miss out on being with them. I love these people. However, I'm worried I'll continue to be the scapegoat for everything that goes wrong, talk badly about, and my weekend will be completely miserable. Is it worth it to go? Should I drop out now? If so, do I say why? Or perhaps say that I'm not feeling well or something? I feel like I should go, keep my head down, and not allow them to abuse me. And now I'll know what to expect. When the wedding ends, I'll distance myself massively until the bride is out of my life. Thoughts? TLDR, I'm a bridesmaid in the wedding of a complete bridezilla where the psychotic maid of honor has poisoned me against everyone she can. Should I keep my head down and go through with the wedding or drop out less than a week before? Go, have fun with the people you're looking forward to see, and then distance yourself from the bride, maybe permanently. You can see how it goes. That way, you have taken the high road and fulfill your obligations. Plus, you've gotten to see your friends that live far away. When you go Friday to help set up, don't overdo it. Your health is more important than anything else. Try to not let any bullshit run off your back and just focus on the fact that this wedding is an opportunity to see the people you don't get to see often. Lean on your boyfriend for emotional support. Take him aside and vent if you need to. You can always leave early if it gets unbearable. I'd go because the money is spent. I would alert a friend who is closer to you who is attending as a guest about the situation and ask him or her to be your buddy for the weekend. Maybe a couple of friends. You can tell them all the details if they're kind of a friend, or keep it vague. Bride and I aren't getting along lately. Maid of honor and I had a misunderstanding and it just blew up. I still want to support the bride, but I think I'm gonna need to stay out of her way a bit. Will you be my wedding buddy? The point is, if you have close friends attending, you can take steps to avoid isolation. After the wedding, I would keep a healthy distance. Friendships are weird. She might go back to normal afterwards, and if you can forgive and forget, then there you go. If not, you know you've hardly lost a great friend. You're living my nightmare. Oh goodness, you poor thing. I would recommend keeping your head down and going through with it. You could also talk to the bride. Have a come to Jesus with her and straight up tell her that you feel used, abused, and unwanted. Ask her if she even wants you in her wedding party anymore, and if she says yes, tell her that you will be there for her, but expect to be treated with respect, bare minimum. I figured I would post an update for anybody that may be interested. I am divorced and had a therapist around the time that I was going through that, but haven't spoken to her in over 2 years. I ended up scheduling a Skype session with her to get her take on how to handle this ridiculous situation. Her overwhelming response, which I'm sure many of you would agree with, was, quote, "Why the hell are you in this wedding and letting these people treat you this way?" End quote. Fair question. Besides the fact that all my friends from all over would be at this wedding, the bride is an integral part of my social circle. Everyone I know knows her. She plans fun things all the time for our group of friends. So when the original debacle with the room cost came about, I thought about dropping out then, but was honestly fearful of how it would affect me socially. I see now that that was a huge mistake. If any of my quote-unquote friends were to take her side, or if I wasn't included in future things, that's a small price to pay for only having people in my life that treat me how I should be treated. After talking to the therapist, we decided that I would in fact go, because I wanted to see my friends and stick to my obligation. But I just wouldn't let them mistreat me or affect me. Everything they said I would ignore if I could, smile and move on. If things got bad, I would just say I wasn't feeling great, so I needed to retreat to my room to rest. Good plan. The wedding itself wasn't too terrible. I mentioned I had MS previously, and all the stress of this wedding and the shenanigans in Vegas last week left me wiped out. I ended up arriving to the wedding the day before, hours later than I was originally supposed to. I told the bride in advance that my MS was acting up and I really needed to take it easy and sleep in, which was true. She was kind about it. By doing that, I avoided almost all the day before prep, which was a godsend because that's when Momzilla was bossing everyone around. The day of the wedding was pretty good, except for Momzilla being nervous and rude. But thankfully, she wasn't only directing that at me, and lots of people were annoyed with her. The maid of honor was also on her best behavior because she was so nervous about her speech. The wedding night was a blast. I got to hang out with all of my friends like I wanted, which was awesome. We were told to clean up the wedding at the end of it, which none of us were expecting and was a pain. But all in all, I was glad I went. The day after the wedding, a large group of us went to get brunch, and we decided to go back to the estate and use their amazing pools for the rest of the day. Since I arrived later in the day before the wedding and then had the wedding, I wasn't able to take full advantage of this amazing estate, so I was really excited to do that. Well, when we returned to the estate, the bride tells me that everyone is going to a nearby hotel to use that pool instead. This made no sense to me. Why pay $25,000 for an estate and not even use it? And send people to a worse pool? Well, since I was leaving that day, my boyfriend and I took some time to pack up our room, clean up, and wait for some friends to come to the estate that we were taking home with us. This took about an hour and a half. We figured that we would go to the hotel pool and then drive home directly afterwards. Right before we were going to head out to the hotel, we realized that my cooler was missing from the room. So we go to use the main house, look around, no cooler. Then we were told by the groom's mother to check to see if it's by the pool. That's when we see that the party was in fact there, that over 25 people were hanging by the pool for at least 2 hours. They were all pretty tipsy and comfortable. And that the bride's brother took my cooler from our room without asking me. I was so hurt. How come nobody told me about the change of plans? Why didn't someone text, call, or just walk to my room at the estate and let us know? The bride saw us arrive at the pool, didn't move, and then very casually was like, "Oh, I didn't have my phone. Did you end up going to the hotel? Sorry." She didn't care at all. If she had made that mistake and was honestly embarrassed about it, I would have expected something like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I forgot to tell you that we were staying here. I don't have my phone with me and it slipped my mind. I'm so sorry. Please join us." But no, that's not how it went. Also, now my cooler is the beer cooler, and I want to leave this place with my cooler and the cold food I brought ASAP. Now I'm the villain for taking the beer cooler, and a bunch of drunk guys are promising to return it to me. Oh yes, because I trust anybody at this wedding to take care of my things or have my best interests at mind. We took the cooler and left them with some bowls from the kitchen. When I said my goodbyes and was waiting in the car, I found out that the bride told my best friend how incredibly lame I am and how disappointed in me she is. Needless to say, I made the wrong decision months ago to stay in this wedding. I should have seen her selfish reaction to the money for the room as a much larger issue, not just a bridezilla moment. Throughout the wedding, I overheard her talking badly about her own brother, how the groom's family is odd and poor, and even spoke badly to me about my best friend. She is nowhere near the person I thought she was, and I am honestly still appalled by it. Lesson learned: don't let anybody mistreat you at any time, no matter the circumstances. I wish I felt relief over this already, but I don't. I'm hoping that comes with time. TLDR, the wedding was fun and I was glad I went. The bride and her mother are still awful and showed me who they really are. Lesson learned: never let anybody mistreat you, no matter the circumstances. Holy shit, every part of this is terrible. I feel awful you were treated so badly. Both posts are bursting with WTF moments. The final pool F you, just wow. Did they mislead you about the pool on purpose? Man, I would have beat someone with that cooler before I left. You have a lot more grace than I do. You were brave to tough it out for the friends that mattered. Stay in touch with your friends and clue them in that Bridezilla was rude and bad-mouthing you. But don't rant about it unless they want to know. You don't need to worry about seeing her again. I'm sure she'll make sure of that. Alright guys, that was it for today's story. Thank you very much for listening. Please remember to smash that like button and subscribe for more stories like this one. Thanks again guys. We will be seeing you in the next one.